Casapinka, how you say it? Whatever her name is. Casapinka. She's got her pinions.
Oh,
What is it again, Sidra?
It's a mystery shawl
Oh,
with Casapinka.
okay. I've never done a mystery knit. Is it that you don't know what you're making till you're done?
Well, you know what you're making in this case. Sometimes you don't.
I see.
Laura Nelkin does them where you don't know what the heck you're making.
Is that right? That's interesting. Hi, Judith. Hi, Kathy.
hi, Frank.
Hi, Sumner.
Oh, Sumner's here.
Yeah.
He's not showing.
He's half checked in.
Well, I started a new Phrancko cardigan, but I left my knitting at home. I'm at my daughter's house.
Oh, no.
Yeah. The Botanical Gardens does a Blossoms of Light, so I have to leave at 4 anyway to go see the Blossoms of Light.
Well, that sounds nice.
There, stay.
Hi, Sumner.
I,
Oh, now we can hear from you.
yes, I signed in and ran to the other side of the room.
Oh, I see. Hi, Rana.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm hanging in there.
Well, I guess that's okay. So Kathy, you're starting a new cardigan.
I am. I was working on the brioche collar, and now I'm finally starting the cardigan itself. But I kind of had a design question, and I wanted to get opinions from people. The yarn I'm using is this same fingering weight yarn. It's hot though. Well, it's hot here, but it's warm because it's cashmere and whatnot, silk and wool. But the brioche is kind of, well, it's heavy, you know, because it's double. And I was wondering if maybe I should go ahead and make the body of the cardigan thicker, or if the collar band would pull the sweater down, or if because it's structured enough, it wouldn't make any difference. And I don't know.
And I'm not the person to ask, so somebody else probably has an opinion.
Yeah, I just thought I'd throw it out there and see if anybody had any opinions.
This is brioche.
Okay, yeah, I'm doing a brioche
So you're
collar.
gonna do a single brioche, the whole body of the sweater?
No, it's just it's a wide collar band.
Okay, like a shawl collar?
Yes, I'm gonna make a shawl collar. It's-
Okay,
It's wide at the
Um,
bottom, and then it even widens out even more at the top for a shawl collar.
it'll fold over beautiful.
What'd you say?
It'll fold over beautiful. It'll act just like a shawl collar should.
Yeah, that's what I
With
think.
being brioche because of that extra structure between the purl stitches.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think you have to do anything different.
Yeah,
Just put it on, just attach it.
yeah. Because I
Um,
think the structure itself will hold it will not pull down. And so therefore, even though it's kind of heavy because it's brioche, it's not going to pull the rest of the sweater, even though the rest of the sweater is this.
Right, I don't think it will. I think brioche is very lofty. I think
Okay.
it's thick and
It's thick.
cushy and squishy
Yeah.
but it's lofty. I don't think it adds a lot of weight.
Yeah,
So I
No,
think
it's
you're
pretty
really
light.
fine with that.
yeah,
And so your garter stitch sweater, but a brioche shawl collar?
yeah, or
Oh,
stockinette.
wow, nice.
Yeah, the collar
Really
is the thing.
I was wondering how to do a Phrancko sweater in all brioche because I thought the saddle shoulder sweater would go really well because of just how brioche reacts.
Mhm.
So you'd have the saddles come down in brioche, and then the pickups can be in brioche. I just don't yet know how to pick up the yarn over going forward, because that yarn over has to be equal to a stitch.
Mhm.
So like when you're picking up 20 stitches, that yarn over is a pickup. Like when you're picking up on the
I think you gotta do.
saddles.
I
Plan to
think you
swatch
gotta-
it and see what it looks like.
Yeah, I think you gotta pick up the stitches and do the yarn overs in between. So basically 2 pickups per stitch, because it's gonna shrink in so much.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to make sure it's broad enough that it doesn't pucker in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Conceptually, I got it, I think. Phrancko will let you know how it goes.
No. Well, you certainly need to do that because I don't know anybody who's done a Phrancko sweater in brioche. And so you have to keep us informed of how well that goes.
Yeah, well, we'll see. It's on my to-do list.
So I haven't said hello to everyone. Hi, Karen. It's nice to see you
Oh,
again.
Oh, okay, I'm unmuted. Hi, Frank, how are you?
Good. And hi, Walter.
Hi, Frank.
Hi, Cindy.
Happy post
Frank.
Thanksgiving.
Yes, it is a happy post Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And hi, Jenny and David and Ron.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
Sounded like Miss Nancy from Romper Room. And hello, everybody.
I got to be on Romper Room when I was
Oh,
sick.
did you
No.
I
really?
really did. I really did.
Isn't that funny? I had such a. she
My
never
mom has
said my
pictures.
name. The name like Sumner, you know?
She never said mine either. Nobody ever does.
Yeah, no.
Looks like we have another guest today. Ron, who did you bring?
Oh, no.
Dog.
It's Ziggy.
She's
This is-
cute.
This is Ziggy Stardog.
Oh,
Great.
I'm holding him
Hi,
because
Ziggy.
Tim is eating a sandwich.
Oh,
So
he wants the sandwich.
desperately.
What kind of dog is that?
He's a Chinese crested.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I have 2 in my building.
Yeah.
One has his own Instagram page.
Oh, Ziggy's very private. He does not like having his photo taken. He sort of resents being on video today, but I got him to sign a waiver by giving him a piece of my pastrami.
That's
Um,
amazing.
Yeah, he's never heard the phrase unconscionable contract, so. But yeah, he's a little bit desperate for the sandwich, but
yeah, he's got his attention somewhere else, it appears.
there, now he's a little bear.
Well, thanks for bringing him.
Sure.
Cute.
Uh,
Very cute.
You know how owners and their pets come to resemble one another. Mostly bald and generally asleep is how we do it.
uh,
How's the sweater coming, Frank?
Well, let's see. Spotlight my picture.
Oh, he's getting a bite.
Up the dog on it.
And there we are.
Oh,
Wow.
very nice.
Wow.
Mhm.
Ooh la la.
That's, it would be easier to show you if I was at the end of a row, but you kind of get the idea. This is the V-neck in the front. No, it's not gonna work.
Okay.
Maybe I should wait till I get to the end of the row.
Oh, but that's
that-
nice.
That's
The
that's the
cables are
back of the sweater
neat.
there.
Oh, so they're
Come
going to go
down, the
together in
two
a
chains come
V?
down. The 2 cables come down and they meet and then they merge into a point on the back.
Oh, very
And
nice.
on the
Oh.
front, which is this,
Mhm.
I don't know if you,
Yeah, we can
this
see.
is long, this
Coming.
this is alongside the edge of the V-neck.
Mhm.
And the two sides come together and then merge into a cable that will continue all the way down the front.
Oh, very nice.
That's what
Very
I'm-
pretty.
That's getting
And
a neat
I'm
design.
happy I'm finally making progress on it. This is my sleeve
Yes,
cap,
got
so
your little sleeve caps going.
it's going.
Is it your size?
Yes, it is. It's my size.
I like that color. Yellow is my favorite color.
I think of it as gold.
Yeah, it's a gold. Yeah.
You know, I did something this morning. I'm wondering if anybody else ever does it. I saw a video not long ago on ball winding. And I think it was Very Pink Knits. Does anybody watch? see
Very,
it?
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Stacy, yeah.
And she recommended winding the ball a second time. In other words, you create the ball and then you take out the center thread and you put it back in the winder and you just hold it while you wind again. And it makes the ball fluffier because the second winding is not as tight as the first. And so the yarn is not stretched. So it has a better chance of just being its natural size when you work it. Does anybody else do that?
I never
No.
tried.
Yeah, yeah, I do that. Yes,
Who's that?
I have
Jenny?
two.
Jenny.
Is that
Jenny.
Jenny?
Mhm.
yes, I do that. Yes, and also the second time, after you've wound it the second time, I push the tail through with the other end, so you're pulling it out from the bottom, so that undoes some of the twist that you're putting in because you've wound it twice.
Yeah, you do get extra twisted.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. So the second time, once you've finished winding it, as you take it off the cone, push the tail all the way through the middle, and then turn it upside down and pull it from the other end.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. 'Cause that I was aware
Yeah.
that it's also twists the yarn and that has an effect
Yeah.
on things.
Yeah, and that undoes the twist. Yeah.
Wow.
I've done the same thing too, and it really works.
I'm sorry, who is this?
Rana,
Rana.
Oh, Rana. Oh, hi, Rana.
hi.
Yes, you've done it too. You wound the ball
Yes.
twice. And
Yes, especially with a more of a lace weight yarn to where it gets very tight when you're trying to wind it.
oh,
So it releases it a lot.
I see.
Hmm.
Yeah, I had 8 balls. They were wound for me by the dyer, so I wouldn't have known which way to push the center thread. But that was a really good suggestion too. In the future, when I wind them myself, I'll do them twice and do them in reverse order. But I am just amazed at how much bigger the ball is the second
Yeah.
time you wind it, and it's telling you something about the tightness of the wine.
Really surprising, and it feels much softer, doesn't it? The second
Yes, it
time.
does. It's much squishier.
Yeah.
As a result.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the tip of the week.
Don't tell any of my customers. It's not happening.
Ah,
Yeah.
I wind mine with my hand, so I'm okay.
Uh-oh. That takes a while.
It doesn't take too much.
No.
Now, some lady in the nursing home showed me how to wind it, so I pull it from the middle, and it flattens right out. It's
Mhm.
good. So,
Yeah.
but I'll have to try it. I'm gonna try it again. I mean, I'll wind it like that, and then I'll reverse it and see what happens. Sounds
Reminds-
interesting.
It reminds me of when I was a teenager and my sister was knitting, and I was fascinated. I would do anything to help her with her knitting. I just wanted to learn to knit.
Just wanted to do it.
As I mentioned, she finally did show me how to knit, but that was after I had spent hours and hours untangling big balls of yarn that she had gotten tangled, and I just got really good at untangling balls. And then the other thing I did was I'd hold my hands like this forever while she
Yeah.
did the
Wow.
wind
Mhm.
from hand to hand. And I just remember holding it and going, "Ah-de-da-da."
That's when my husband got me the extra large ball winder.
Yes.
He was sick of
Couple of
holding
times
his
of that,
hands
and
up. Yeah.
that's your Christmas present.
It's nice though. It does the bigger skeins.
Uh,
So where the little ball winders, I don't know, I don't do good anything over like 50 grams, but I got a real big one, you know, because he was sick of holding his hands up.
Yes.
So I'm trying to work out putting your patterns onto the app
Knit Companion.
Knit Companion.
There are people who do that.
So I just got myself an iPad so it could be bigger.
Yes.
I was trying to do it on my phone. It was impossible. I'm like,
Yeah, I can
F
imagine.
this, you know, so I finally broke down. I haven't had an iPad in forever.
So you know you use a PDF file, right?
Yeah. So, but I just wanted to, because I don't think I put your PDFs in my Ravelry. So I think I put them in my Ravelry first, and then I can get them into Knit Companion from there.
Or from Dropbox.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not familiar with Knit Companion. Who else can tell him how to get the PDF into Knit Companion?
I'll take a
You
look.
can either drop it into Dropbox,
Yeah.
or when you've downloaded it onto your iPad, Knit Companion has its own file structure, and you can transfer it straight into the Knit Companion file structure, so you don't have to put it on Dropbox or Ravelry.
But when I open up Knit Companion, how do I get to my Phrancko pattern?
No. So well, you need to find out where Knit Companion is located on your iPad, not when it's open, where the file structure is on your iPad. And then with Knit Companion closed, you need to move the PDF from wherever you've downloaded it on your iPad into the Knit Companion file
it'll drop
on
right
your
in?
iPad.
Oh,
Drag
it'll
it in.
like drop right in? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's neat.
And then when you go open Knit Companion
It's
and
right
look for local PDF files, you should find it there.
Oh,
Thank you.
sweet. So now I'll get the PDF onto my iPad and then do it that
Yeah.
way. That's
Yeah.
a lot easier than, yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do you use Knit Companion a lot?
Yeah. Yes, all the time, everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've been sick of making, copies. Ugh.
Yeah.
Been driving me nuts.
I don't have an iPad though. I have Android, but I think it must be the same on iPad.
It's the
But I have
same.
an
Yeah.
Android. Yes. Yeah.
The iPad, just because I have Apple products, I got an iPad.
Okay.
I think most everything does the same thing.
Yeah. But it's a brilliant program. I love it.
Yeah. Very Pink was did a couple tutorials on YouTube. Carrie,
is that right?
on how to use Knit Companion. And I was like, oh, I would love this. Because I'm old school. I've got 3-ring binders full of tons of patterns marked up. And, if I could stop doing that, it would be great.
So it's basically like you can annotate and highlight.
Yeah. And you can write on it with the pen and on the iPad.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, the iPad
Yeah.
has like a pen,
Yeah.
here's the pen. And you get
And
to
it's
write
got-
right on the pattern, just like you do on a piece of paper. And it
Yeah.
will save it.
wow.
And color code your
Yeah.
stitches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
6 row counters, which I'm a big row counter guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it
Right
has
now-
line markers and column markers, so you can move those up along and down, and
Right.
highlight cables or whatever you want to do. Yeah.
And I like, because I frequently lose my place on my printed copies, that function where you can just hold your finger down and not lose your place where you left off, like a bookmark.
Yeah.
That is brilliant. That is that's like it. That was it for me. Then I said, forget it. I'm getting, because figuring out where you are with increases going down a raglan or instead of sleep, forget it.
Ziggy, what have you done with my phone?
Right now,
Rana has
Stacy-
her hand raised. Rana?
Yes, right now, Stacy at Very Pink has a free iPad with Knit Companion already put on the iPad, and it's a giveaway for this week.
Yes, I
Wow.
registered.
Oh. How did you find out her name was Stacy? I have looked all over the place and all I can find is fairy pink knits.
Oh, when you're on her email, she signs it Stacy.
Oh,
I'm on her email list.
And if
I
you go
love
to
her.
her
I think she's-
patterns, I think her name is on there too.
well, I
Yeah.
didn't ever get her patterns. I only see her videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's very good.
Yeah,
She is.
I did the log cabin blanket from her.
Oh, did you? Isn't that great? I saw
That's
that video.
gorgeous. I loved it.
Yeah, beautiful. I knit the same way she does, and I taught myself to knit.
Yeah, she flips.
Yeah, I do that. So, kind of interesting.
Yes.
Not many
actually,
people
she
hold
was
the
the
yarn
first
the way
person.
that
She
I
was the
do.
first person I saw flick, and it gave me
Yeah.
the idea to develop that too. So now I do that too.
Yeah, I've been doing that for 30 years because I taught myself out of books. Like I taught myself going to the Women's Union.
Yes, I
I would
remember.
get books out of the Women's Union and take them home, and then they'd help me. And they never corrected my hands because it was working,
Uh-huh.
but I was flicking, whatever she called it.
It speeded up my knitting tremendously.
Oh, yeah, it's fast. I'm fast for like well, I always thought it was just English style, but fast. But it's I think it's fast as any of the continental knitters that I knit with.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So,
I do both. It all depends what I'm knitting on.
And your purl tension tends to be better.
Yeah.
yeah, I have the same purl tension both ways, which was thrilled about that, though I've been knitting in the round for 20 years with not a lot of purling.
Everyone seems pretty focused today.
Yeah, I got some beautiful Shetland wool for my next Phrancko sweater.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's this beautiful, it's a very light purple, almost periwinkle color.
Hmm.
And I always wear black, so I think it'll be interesting. Like I am literally black, gray, blue. That's my wardrobe.
That's because you're from Boston, Sumner.
Yeah, yeah, maybe.
I went from Boston to Colorado and yeah, I had to switch from black to white.
Yeah.
A little intense for the heat here.
Yes, our northeasters, we're all dark.
Yeah.
I have no excuse then. I wear this same black V-neck every day.
Funny, in Paris, everybody wears black.
Yep.
Everybody, the whole population wears black.
Mhm.
I was thinking, I don't know what I was thinking. It should have been more colorful. No. Everybody wears black.
Yeah. Well, Ron, you should knit one of Stephen West's styles. It'd be colorful.
That's all down to yarn choice rather than his patterns.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I took one of his first in-person classes at Seed Stitch in Salem, and he was 21. That was a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My
yeah, it was pretty
knitting,
cool. He was a very nice guy.
my knitting is very colorful. I've never been cold. And B, I have 20 of this V-neck. I wear the same one every day. I assure you all, I'm not showing up in the same outfit every week. Or I may be, but it would be a total coincidence just grabbing the same one from my drawer. I do change my shirt every day. It's just an identical shirt. But my
Who's that
knitting is bright.
Who's the bright green one for, Ron?
Well, it's my size. I will show it to you in a minute.
Okay. Hey, Sumner, I wanted to ask you how you made the brave choice to go so far out of your color comfort zone to go from black to periwinkle. That's a pretty far stretch in my mind.
I just felt like I had to do it. I don't know. I did. I just felt like I had to do it. Because I'll wear gray. And I have every shade of gray, but this is actually a bright, colorful. I don't know, it'll happen. I'll wear it.
This sweater I'm wearing was the first time I went outside my comfort zone of gray, blue, and brown tones, earth tones.
Yeah, it's great
And
colors.
it was orange and purple, but not very much of it, you know, just
No.
on the sleeves a little bit and across the chest. But it was like, this was a dramatic change for me. Orange and purple. Can you believe this?
Yeah, well,
Goes
yeah,
good together.
yeah, they look great together.
But that turquoise sweater you have is gorgeous. That
Which
you
one
wear.
is turquoise? Oh, the one with the wide cable?
Yes,
Yes.
that's beautiful.
Yeah, that was kind of a stretch too.
Is the color just on the the saddles, or does it go down the back also?
It goes all the way around,
Ah, okay.
but then it's just
On
blue.
the sleeves
That's
too.
navy blue,
Hmm,
and then there's a little bit of color on the
Nice.
all
ribbon
right.
and on the ribbon before the ribbon here.
Very flashy.
Flashy is
Yeah.
exactly what I
Calm you-
don't want.
Calm your designs down, Frank. They're too
Calm
much.
them down. I know. My designs are all so flashy.
I made a cardigan.
I would know.
And the cardigan was a gray zip. It was the first time I put a zipper in a cardigan. And someone commented that I was actually putting color in my sweater. And well, no, I didn't. The hem on the inside of the cuffs, I did in red.
Oh.
So only I knew it was there. Or when I undid it, the inside, it is a cool look. But you know, but no, it's actually gray on the outside. Screaming red on the inside.
These colors actually came from Cork, Ireland, hedgehog fibers.
Mhm.
I was on a knitting cruise with a group that went, and the cruise stopped in Cork, and we had an excursion to go to the office of Hedgehog Fibers. And of course, everybody was wanting to buy the yarn from their second shop or whatever, you know, they sell a little bit out of the shop. But the selection wasn't great. And it was really hard to find DK weight, and everybody else was looking for worsted or lace weight or fingerling. And I just made it known to the crowd, if you find any DK, pass it my way. And I just ended up with all these mismatched colors of DK weight yarn because that's what I wanted to use. And so when I started to design this sweater with Hedgehog Fibers, I chose these colors because they were just the colors that people handed to me. They were
Isn't that fun? And they work.
and they really worked. They did.
They all have the
Very
same
nice.
hue.
Yeah,
It
people
was
say,
a
wow, you've
group
got really
color
unusual choice of colors there. Well, I didn't choose them. They just
Did the
ended
cruise
up-
go around the Aran Islands?
What's that?
Did the cruise go around the Aran Islands?
No, it didn't. It did
No.
not. No.
Okay. Yeah, that would be,
I've been
I
on a
was
couple
looking
of,
at one, the price was ridiculous. I couldn't do it.
oh, well.
They wanted like 10 grand. I couldn't.
Hmm.
Oh, no. They're not that much.
No, there was a cruise I was looking at to go around the Shetland Islands, but
I
it was a really long cruise.
Oh,
And I'm
I
like,
know.
yeah, I can't do it. I'll have to wait and get a shorter one.
There's a website named craftcruises.com,
I see.
which organizes knitting cruises, which are actually just a small segment of people who are on a larger cruise ship. So there might be 2,000 or 3,000 people on the ship, but 60 people are on the knitting cruise. And there's a teacher that travels along with them.
Oh,
And my husband and I have been on 2 of them, and we just loved it. It was, they you know, like any cruise, they have excursions to see all the sites, but then they also take side trips off to yarn stores in every country, and
Hmm.
or in this case, a dyer, the Hedgehog Fibers, and we met some really nice people. We've made several really good friends that after we'd done one cruise, they asked us to join them on the second cruise. So some of the same people were on the second cruise, and we just had a really wonderful time.
That's great. Yeah, I'd like it to be safe enough to go on a cruise again.
Yeah, well, we did. It wasn't a knitting cruise, but we did a Danube River cruise in September.
Oh, nice.
We're just glad to finally be able to cruise to travel again.
Amen. Yeah, just my recent trip. Wow. It just felt so good to get out, and just explore.
Yes.
David, how's your sweater coming? I see you lifting up every so often.
And that's because I'm
It's pretty big.
it is.
David.
I just kept going at it. I'm getting fairly close to the place to start the ribbing. I do have two very short questions, if I may.
Well, of course.
I made this swatch to learn how to do the tubular cast on. And I made it on gigantic needles so that I could see what I was doing. And my question is obviously, and I'm holding this up so you can see, the swatch is fairly large based on compared to the one that you demonstrate on YouTube. So my question is two things. One, is this a good idea to have this great big huge thing just to learn this? It didn't look like the process was all that difficult, but it'll take me a while, I think. And then the other is, you say something on the YouTube demonstration, which before you start the actual binding off, you add 2 more stitches, and I'm not sure I understood why that was necessary. Can you see that I'm kind of in the middle?
What do you mean add 2 more stitches? I don't remember saying you add 2 more stitches.
Yeah. Before you start binding off, you knit 2 more stitches on one side. And then you said that's in order for something to happen. And I didn't quite understand what you meant by that.
I think you mean that you knit, and without taking the needles, the stitches off the needle, you do a knit through one and a purl through the other before you then start doing a knit one off, purl one off, knit one off, purl one off.
Is that what you mean? Is that what you mean? Yeah, that's just to get you started, because you have to go through every one twice, and you haven't gone through them once yet. So you go through 2 stitches once, 1 knit and 1 purl, and then you go back and do the knit off and the other knit.
I think what he's talking about, though, Frank, is that it seems like that you do say you don't want to do it like right at the edge of the needle. So you're doing it almost kind of like how you're doing it your special magic loop way, where you've moved it a little bit so that you have some stitches on the needle before you start.
Yes,
because
actually.
that's what it is in the video.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah,
it's really hard to do it across the gap. If the gap if you have not that gap. If you're doing it in the round with magic loop, magic loop has a gap.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to do it across that gap. So you have to move some stitches around to not do it across the gap. But actually I just use a small enough needle so I'm not using magic loop. Well, actually on the wrist you are, so it does enter in there.
But I think that's what it is that he's talking about, that is in the demo. I think that's the way.
But you're not actually, you're not actually adding any stitches.
No.
You're just processing them a little differently, I think.
But I think to prevent a jog, and I remember the video, I think, you just knit 2 stitches and then you started. So you're not adding the 2, you're knitting forward 2 stitches that already exist because of the join.
Already been
but
knitted.
you've changed where you are joining your sweater.
Are you, I'm not sure you're talking about the same thing, so it sounds like you're talking about my magic loop method
No, on your bind off,
in my bind off.
Mhm.
because
Maybe I'm just
you
confused as to what we're talking about.
start at the end of the round. Well, you finish at the end of the round. And then if you, in the round, now you've got to start 2 stitches. I had understood that you just knit 2 stitches and then you started. So you're starting 2 stitches into the beginning of the round. And then just because you're spaced, that's how I did it. And it actually worked.
When you
pretty
say
good.
knit, you mean sew?
No, just
No.
like when you're starting your bind off, you finish the body of your sweater, right? Now you do your knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you have a stitch marker for your beginning of the round, right? You've
Yeah.
ended. So you have an even number of stitches. You do a regular just knit, purl, and then you start your bind off. That's how I understood.
Wait, are
it.
you talking about using the standard bind off, not the one?
No,
that-
your bind off, where you do almost a Kitchener bind off.
Yeah,
It's how I thought.
I don't know why you would need to knit those 2 stitches. I can't think of a reason you need to do that.
Basically, my question.
Yeah.
Let me just go one step further, because I've made a swatch that is not in the round.
Mhm.
Right.
No matter where I start, I have lots of give on the, the needles are very long, so I can do it anywhere. Can I just start now with the bind?
No, because then you're not in the round. So you need to start at one end.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, and I went to the middle because it looked to me like what you were doing was 2 sides.
That's because it was in the
It's a
round.
magic
It was in
loop.
the round.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because see, you'd start in the middle and go all the way to the end and they'd all be bound off. And then the first stitches that you skipped wouldn't be bound off. If it's flat like that.
And I'm just trying to practice to learn how to do it. So
Yeah.
I'll go back to the beginning.
Yes,
Or keep going and then turn around and,
that's right.
okay.
Bind off on the other side.
That's all I need. Yeah, thank you.
And David, it's not that it's hard, it's a little tedious. And you want to really pay attention to the tension of your stitches as you sew it. You don't want it to be too loose, and you don't want it to be too tight. So just kind of do little, I do my stitches like that by kind of like pinching them to feel, so that they should feel like the rest of the stitches.
Sure. I have done Kitchener before.
Oh yeah, it's the
I
same
had someone on
concept.
my left shoulder telling me what to do, and that does not make a good knitter. That makes a sort of
No,
robot.
that's kind of a backseat knitter, right?
Is why I'm excited. If there was anything I wanted to do was to sort of learn the process in here rather than go to some
Right.
group and have somebody talk me through every single thing. That's where I am. But, okay.
Good.
For the
You'll get it.
longest time, every time I wanted to do the Kitchener bind off or the invisible ribbed bind off, which are very related,
Mhm.
I would have to go online and look it up again to figure out whether to knit the first one or purl the first one or whichever way you do it.
I
And
keep a little printout.
I finally figured out based on the architecture of stitches. Now, I'm going to say something that I never tried to teach before because I understand.
I'm going to write it down.
I understand it and I can't figure out how to explain it to anyone else. But if you look at the architecture of stockinette stitch, you have a knit stitch that is completed and the yarn travels to the next stitch, comes out of that stitch, goes up to the next row, goes around the tail and then back into that stitch and then over to the next stitch. So it's traveling from one stitch to the next in the same row when you go into the knit stitch and then come out of the next knit stitch. That's horizontal. So there's in and out. And when you come out, you're going to go to a different row.
Yep.
So you're going to go up. But in this case, up is just over the top and into the purl stitch on the back. So my mantra is not knit off, purl, purl off, knit, or whatever that is.
Mhm.
Mine is in, off, out. Other side, in, off, out. You go into the stitch and you take it off. And then you go out of the next stitch on the same side. Then you go around and you go into this first stitch on the other side and take it off. And then you go out of the second stitch, which is the one where you go between stitches and around and back through. That's out. So my mantra is in, off, out, in, off, out, in, off, out, and it works. And it's based on the architecture of the stitches. Now, did anybody understand that at all? I've not even tried to make a
I
video.
actually did pretty good. I
Yeah.
did pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say 75%.
It makes sense, and I can just tell you that I'm trying to learn the architecture of chords in C sharp minor.
Yes.
Bad piano players have to spell a chord when they're learning every single time. It drives us crazy. But as I've been trying to figure out how to get my head into C sharp minor, all I have to do is look at the architecture of the chord, and it changes everything. I stop trying to read every note, because that's, do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
Literally the
Yes.
same analogy.
That's right. And it's really about understanding the architecture of the stitches, that when it's horizontal, you've gone into a knit stitch, you went to the next stitch in the back, and then you came out of the stitch next to it in the same row. And then when you come out of the stitch, if it's flat stockinette, you go up and it goes through around the base of the stitch above, and then back into the stitch below, and then going in, you then go over to the next stitch and out. So you go in and stay in the same row and come out, and then you go to the back side and you go in to the knit stitch on the back side, which is actually a purl stitch from your perspective, but it's into that knit stitch and out of the next knit stitch, which is really a purl stitch. And then you come back to the front,
Hello,
and go in, and every time you go in, you take it off. And then
So I was gonna call around 2:30, but I said, oh, you might as well go to the church.
somebody's on the
Yeah, so
phone.
that's why.
Who's on the phone? Is that Walter? I'll mute him.
It does make sense. I just need to work on it and think through what's going on. So thank you. Next week, I should have gotten this thing bound off correctly.
Yes.
But it's a very good idea that you swatched it.
It
It took
really-
that for me to get a hang of it. I had to take it out and it was ugly.
It is
and
not
then I
something you want
swatched
to
it
take out.
again.
It's really hard to take out. once
Very
you've done
hard.
it, because you can't tell which stitch is the one to pull, and it's
I was
more
going too
tedious to take
tight,
it out. Much more
snugging it up.
tedious.
And it just puckered awful when so yeah, definitely good you swatched it.
I've been playing around with the Norwegian purl method.
So that's fun. Yeah.
It's complicated, and I'm just keeping with it just to see if my rows look more even.
Do you
And
know
I
Arne
like-
and Carlos?
Yes, Arnie and Carlos.
Yeah,
And
he does a
love-
great Norwegian pearl video.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the economy of the motion of Norwegian knitting. That's sort of my thing.
Yeah. Me
so I'm
too.
gonna-
I do like it.
I'll report back. Is that what you use?
I have done complete things in Norwegian because it's fast and the economy of it, right?
Yeah.
There's no wrapping yarn around my finger, which I normally do.
Yeah.
The pearl is, if there's a lot of pearls, I won't, because there's a lot in the pearl. It's like a little dance, right?
Yeah.
That pearl is a little dance. Takes time.
But I've seen people do it and they're like,
Yeah.
it looks super
I keep
easy.
I think the reason it works well for me is I'm a very, very tense knitter.
Mhm.
So I don't give it the opportunity to suck up extra yarn when I'm moving.
Okay.
But that's the left-handed tensioning style I use if I'm working with something in my left hand. So if I'm doing like stranded color or something,
Okay. Yeah.
I knit or purl in Norwegian style. Generally, if I'm tensioning with my left hand, I'm a strong advocate. Keep practicing. It can look and feel dreadful at first, but everything does, right?
Yeah. Everything does, especially this. Yeah. But I've seen people do it so fast. I know that it's possible.
That's part of a trick. I think everyone winds up becoming pretty speedy at whatever they've stuck with over time. And so like when you see long online conversations about which knitting style is faster, I always go like, I don't know if I understand why that's your main goal.
Yeah.
Right.
Faster.
Right.
But
yeah,
like you will eventually become really speedy at whatever you practice the most.
True.
I like Portuguese too.
Yeah.
Portuguese knitting is really cool.
I'd love to
That's what
try
I do.
that.
Yeah.
Sidra
Sidra does it.
Yeah.
You got your pen, right?
Who does it?
Or my own version of doing
Sidra.
Portuguese.
Oh, I don't see your.
I just tension it in my beard. It's not a joke. That's how I tension when I knit Portuguese.
Sidra.
I don't use a pen or anything.
Oh, there it is. Sidra. Sidra, I
cool.
spotlighted you so we can all see your yarn going up to your collar there. Portuguese knitting, huh? That's
Okay, I gotta try that.
Andrea Wong.
Yeah,
Andrea
he's
Wong.
amazing.
Okay. I'll check her out.
And what a nice lady.
Mhm.
I've purchased some things from her and she always sends a nice note and just what a nice human being. Though most knitters are nice. She's particularly a very nice woman.
Is this a good moment to show you what I've been working on?
yes.
Always.
Yes, yes.
I'm at the end of a row here. There it is.
Whoa.
Oh.
Is that
What
broken?
stitch is
thread?
that?
This is Tunisian crochet.
Tunisian
Oh,
Oh my gosh. So it's working. It's
No other
working.
needle. It is absolutely working.
Oh my
There's
goodness.
my sleeve cap.
Yay.
Oh my
That's good.
goodness.
I'm making the Henley. Because
I never dreamed it would be used for crochet of any type. I never dreamed the Phrancko sweater would be crochet
for
of any
what we
type.
typically call crochet, maybe not, because the right crochet in the round and crochet flat look very, very different.
Yes.
So I wouldn't recommend it necessarily. But for Tunisian crochet, which is quite knit-like, it absolutely works. I was concerned that the gauge and the shaping might be a little off because Tunisian crochet is universally a 1 stitch by 1 row gauge. The stitches are as wide as they are tall because they are the length of 1 crochet chain.
Right. So I couldn't give you any estimate.
Yardage estimate, no, at a ratio of 1.
Yeah. No.
And it would have been dead wrong anyhow because it's crochet, not knitting.
Yeah.
It makes a fairly
Exactly.
thick, spongy fabric, but not as thick as conventional crochet, not as stiff as conventional crochet, but it
looks
just trucks. I've worked
beautiful.
on this for 2 days.
I love
Oh,
it.
wow.
You're fast, though, Ron.
On my, that's what they told me. That's why I got sent to the special school. Um,
Oh, Ron, you're so bad.
You're the one who said it.
You know, you can go through that stitch and it makes it look like a knit stitch.
It does.
Right.
It's sort of the mutant bride of
Right.
like knitting and crochet sewed together, because you can construct stitches that look identical to existing knit stitches. But there's
Right.
also about 4 other places to put your needle.
Yeah.
Because there's a crochet chain that runs through it. And so you can create all kinds of different fabrics. It's a really cool craft, but I bet the qualities that make this work for knitting most of it in the round can be transferred to Tunisian crochet. And I made a little sample just like as a proof of concept, and I loved it so much that I started to top. So
good.
Very cute.
So are you going to be able to make a video showing how you did that? And
I could, but no. It was a lot of, because a lot of it just, you have to know why the sweater is, what the sweater is telling you to do and when, because in Tunisian crochet, you never turn your work.
So you're
Right,
not
it's
going
always
to
in the front.
No, this is going to be a personal project for me, just so I can look at it later and go, haha.
I did that.
Kazaa.
But yeah, it's just, there's so much you have to read in the knitting pattern and then reinterpret to work for this craft. It works. I would not want to explain it to anyone else. Who
Well, I will send people to you who want to do that.
Sure.
Here's the person.
Anyone who's
solved this
already very
question.
familiar with knitting and Phrancko sweater and very familiar with Tunisian crochet, I could talk them through it easily. But it's a lot of just like, okay, I'm on a purl row, which doesn't exist. So so counting your rows, right side, wrong side, none of this matters because you're always on the right side, even when you're working flat. Because see, I'm at the end of a row here. I've knit basically all my stitches on, pulling up a loop just like I'm knitting. And then you get them off the needle by doing a crochet chain backward through each stitch. And so your little knit stitches are on your hook / needle for a while, but then they come off like that.
So you are binding off every row and then
Kinda, yeah, but
Then
binding
Yeah.
off by
again.
pulling a crochet chain through it backward.
Yeah.
Which is certainly a way you could bind off your knitting.
Wow.
Neat beard. So that's what I'm doing. It's my end of the year treat to myself.
That's awesome, Ron.
You think I do weird stuff? Now I'm gonna do some weird stuff.
Yeah, we think you do weird stuff already. You don't have to impress us.
I don't know. I'm like, I guess the Phrancko Mr. Hyde, as you make like nice reserved sweaters for the refined gentleman.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I can take all of Frank's ideas and make them great. So
Me too.
That's fun.
Walter, your Christmas tree looks so pretty.
Thank you. I have 2 of them. I got one in the kitchen too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, that's lovely.
so I'm gonna,
Like all the little
I'm gonna
lights.
get a green garland and then I'm gonna put Christmas balls on it because I got a very big window, so.
Looks lovely.
I know some people up here in the Northeast went crazy decorating their houses already. So, a lot of people who live in condos, they decorate and then the condo organization fines them because they're not supposed to put it up until after Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
I
But
mean,
it's
I don't
after
understand.
Thanksgiving now.
They
we
got
can
so
do it
many
all.
rules. Some man's just bought a house in Pompano Beach, Florida, and he said there was 29 pages of what they couldn't do. I said, why would you buy that house, that condo then? That's terrible. So,
Where do you live, Walter?
I live in Long Island.
Ah,
I live on the north. I live in the South Fork of Long Island, near Southampton, Hampton Bays, where all the rich people come out from the city. So you know, what is it? Christy Brinkley comes out here, and Martha Stewart lives out here. Ina, you know, they all live out here. So
So
you're
rub
in
shoulders with
California.
her. Yes, I live in San Francisco.
Oh, all right. There you go. So,
Oh, Phrancko, I had a really wonderful success with my niece's sweater
Oh,
that I
yeah?
kind of wanted to share. I don't have
Please
it
do.
with me, but she is very thin. She's a 36 bust, 29 waist, and 33 hip. So I took your measurements the way that you told us to do it, above the bust
Mhm.
and the shoulder, and the length. And I think it was Kathy who had said short rows, but start from under the sleeve, right when the provisional cast on starts to add the body of the sweater.
Okay.
So I just did short rows around the front, 6 times every other. And then I did a fitting for her to try it on to say, hey, how did it work? Perfect, perfect.
Great.
Couldn't
wow,
be
good.
better, you know.
Did your
Perfect.
short
So-
rows get shorter and shorter as you did more? Or
No,
how did you do?
so I was a combination short row. So I did a short row back and forth, and then all the way around.
And all the way around and another
And then
one.
a short row back and
Uh-huh.
forth, and then all the way around. And did that 6 times, so it creates just extra fabric in the front,
Right.
but doesn't necessarily make it go anywhere, it just goes up. So the width of the sweater around the torso is correct and the same, and there's enough room for bosoms without
Suzanne
having to put
Bryan,
darts.
Suzanne Bryan teaches a different method of doing short rows, which I haven't done, but it seems really interesting. She starts the short rows just beneath the bust line, and does them just starting short ones, and then each row she goes back and forth doing short rows that are longer and longer and longer, so that the short rows are, you know, at an angle like this until it gets back out to the waist.
Oh, okay.
And then she calculates, somehow she knows exactly how many short rows to do. And 2 inches of short rows or something is what her guide is. And
I love
it's just
Suzanne.
another way to do it. And I think there must be as many ways to do it as there are people designing for body shaping for women. Because I've been asking about this ever since the knit along with Suzanne Bryan, and she described that technique. And that, by the way, is online. If anybody's interested in adding body shaping for women to a Phrancko sweater, it's the knit along that we did together. It's on her website, not on my YouTube channel. It's Suzanne Bryan's YouTube channel, and she all of the videos are indexed in the comments, so you can find out exactly where she's talking about the short rows for bust shaping. And you just look through the various videos that we did and look at those segments, and you'll get an introduction to how she recommends it be done.
Yeah, mine was
I'm glad it worked. I'm glad whatever
Yeah.
you did worked. That's great.
it was a hybrid of a cat body tomato heel for a sock,
Yeah.
only much bigger than a heel, you know?
Yeah.
And it just completely smooth, no seams, darts, because she didn't want darts. And yeah, they're very happy with it. So
Yeah.
now I get to finish it.
The technique that I described that Suzanne teaches seems to make something like darts at an angle.
It does.
Beneath the bust line, and so maybe that's not what she wanted.
Yeah, she wanted a more loosely fitted sweater,
Uh-huh.
but where she's so thin, it was, you don't want it looking like a potato sack because a man's sweater is very straight,
Yes.
and she is not. She's a cute little thing, but
Cool.
so it works. I'm so happy, and she is very happy with it. So it should just be
Is
another
there
week or two
anyone
and
else
she'll have it.
who wants to quickly say something or show something? We're actually at the end of the hour. So let me know if
Yeah,
anybody
I'll
has
just
something they're hoping to share.
show my progress.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
it's
please
Jenny,
do.
Jenny here. Yeah, yeah. So I'm not here next week, by the way. So so this is where I've got to. I've actually finished my sleeves.
Oh, look at
And,
that.
It's lovely,
Nice.
Jenny.
Yeah, and I'm working my way down the body.
Uh-huh.
So I'll be back in 2 weeks and hopefully have it finished.
Wonderful.
That's lovely. You're
Very
going
nice.
fast, Jenny.
Wonderful.
It's looking great.
It is, yeah, yeah. So I went with Ron's suggestion for the bust shaping. So I've put additional increases down the seam here,
Uh-huh.
rather than any short rows. So I've done a bit of a fitting and it looks okay. So I'm pleased with that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to show something quickly before we go?
No, we're good.
All set?
All right.
Well, thank you for another delightful hour.
Thank you.
All right.
We'll see
Thank
you
you,
next
See
everybody.
you next week.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye. Bye, Judith.
Bye.